Has been charged with shooting artist Megan Thee Stallion during an argument. The DA's office says Lanez, whose legal name is Daystar Peterson, shot Megan's feet during an argument in the Hollywood Hills July 12th. The 20
It was an argument because I was ready to go and everybody else was.
You know, it's funny how past events can be looked at in the present. Back before all this was going on, you could have sworn that these two careers wouldn't have intersected at all. At least I didn't back then. Now the Twitter detectives have already pointed at certain pictures. I mean, the relationship should have been obvious, right? One hot dog pic, then a friendship meetup at somebody's house during a pandemic. Everyone with a brain already had an idea by this point.
Hold on. Official shot o'clock. Live right here on Quarantine Radio. This has just turned into Quarantine Radio in about 5 seconds.
Quarantine. Should we add people to the live?
Honestly, I never really cared about them having a fling. I mean, they are both grown-ass people. The problem is when the violence happens. And man, did it happen.
Meg wrote, on Sunday morning, I suffered gunshot wounds as a result of a crime that was committed against me and done with the intention of physically harm me. I was never arrested. The police officers drove me to the hospital where I underwent surgery to remove the bullets. I'm incredibly grateful to be alive and that I'm expected to make a full recovery. But it was important for me to clarify that
On July 2020, Megan was shot in her heels at a party taking place in Beverly Hills. Now, it's no longer just a fling. A cultural divide starts to form across the genre. Everybody has their hot takes and allegiances. How could it all go wrong so fast? I mean, Tory had just raised his music profile by 3 notches. You know you are prospering when you can collaborate with legendary acts. You know, just for the fuck of it. But with that type of shine, Daystar was too high above the earth. Where you are shining, it's typical to miss the little things. Every little interaction of negativity can add up fast. Meg was a rap superstar, not unlike Tory. The fast drugs, partying, and fun can make for a great time. Meg, of course, was known for driving the boat, which is like the ultimate peer pressure if you really think about it. Other rappers had to take a drink of pure liquor. God, who knows where that bottle has been. They're just trusting it and going along with it. The fun party vibes were all gone once you read that headline. Megan has experienced something that will forever remain in her core, not to mention the others who got hurt by simply being next to the situation. Hip-hop needed someone to blame. I will not do that today, but to dive into the bigger themes at play, the patterns that can often lead to this. To set the scene, I'll have to take you to a Rock Nation brunch. Megan's career will start to ascend higher. Once you go to a brunch with everybody wearing tight suits, you have basically made it. I mean, look at that suit over there, and over which where? After a long battle for Megan's old contract with Mob Ties, it must have been a relief to finally be able to rub shoulders with so many industry giants. Tory had also just released his last album, Chicks Tape 5, under Rock Nation, and was finally independent. This was her home, and Rock Nation would not play when the situation got bad. Tory was just chilling though, snapping what seemed like a silly, if risque pic of them together. Well, I assume everything got lost amongst the celebrity starstruck media. Only thing the media really could talk about was which shade of pink Jay-Z's suit was.
Peace. I like that pink, man. Mom. Mom. Okay, Mom. All right.
Funny to see Tory so comfortable around The Rock at this time, considering he would later accuse Rock Nation of career sabotage and ethics concerns. Whether it's true is not as up to speculation. Of course, Rock Nation denied it. Tory's father would later refer to Jay-Z, Desiree, and others as a wicked system. He even took it a step further and insinuated that Tory rejected a deal from them. A lot of theories about an alleged Rock Nation grudge has been corroborated by him directly. For now, Tory and Megan will remain cool. Obviously, the two had grown closer and closer during this time. I mean, you don't just pop up on anyone's live stream. Tory had established a live streaming empire, a radio show / Instagram Live that was insanely popular.
Before we get any further, there's 103,000 people watching right now. We are doing the WOW Challenge.
Wow.
Right now, we are doing the WOW Challenge.
Wow.
We are also going to do the New Toronto Challenge.
New Toronto.
Master Flex Night.
There's $5,000 you can win off it.
COVID had set everybody's ass at home, and the show was a nice way to capitalize off that. It was also riding high off the success of Captain Hook, which came from Sugar, an EP that was probably one of the most played in the 2020 summer. So it's not hard to see that both rappers were on cloud 9 and at this point. Both seeing great success after spending years as underground artists. This live footage aged so terribly, in the sense that I don't think these two would ever be this cool ever again. Too much has happened, and to even speak to each other can require a lot of forgiving, especially on Megan's side. So there's a few people I've yet to mention. People that play major roles in determining the public's perception of the situation. And when you look at that, another potential party taking place at Kylie Jenner's house. This star-studded event included everybody big in the industry. After how the year went so far, why wouldn't this be a fun time? It's not until you hear the story of Kelsey that you understand why this is a bigger problem than what it seemed. Kelsey is a friend of Meg, someone who was there since she started out as the H-Town hottie. Turns out, Kelsey was already seeing Tory around this time. So yeah, this entire time, Tory was seeing both friends. Tory was having the most fun probably. His live stream was turned up, he was turned up. Now he had an ultimate goal to fulfill. Kylie. Now, was it intelligent to try and juggle multiple women at the same party? Maybe not, but we are all consenting adults here. Meg could have just said no to her best friend's BF. Tory could have been a much better boyfriend as well. I mean, he chose the hard difficulty and went after the most famous friend Kelsey had, basically daring her to figure it out. Tory was obviously way too damn turned. He was removed for his belligerence and rudeness. This is where things come to a head. Now, before you ask anything, like what was Tory thinking, easy. He wasn't thinking at all. He was probably way too gone to consider logic or reasoning. It was only a matter of time till the truth would be revealed, but not before arguments about Tory's flow came into focus. Hotter heads boiled over and boom. The argument would reach its peak, and Megan would choose to leave the vehicle. Now here's where things aren't so clear anymore. Megan Thee Stallion was supposedly shot in her heels. Kelsey, friend of Megan, claimed the night was a blur, we were under the influence. Megan Thee Stallion, in a panic of seeing helicopters and police, decided to protect the assailant with her statement. I didn't want them to kill any of us, or shoot any of us, so I just said I stepped on glass. The night had ended with Megan being shot. Tory, on the other hand, was charged for carrying a loaded, undocumented firearm, personal use of said firearm, and assault with a semi-automatic weapon. A later court will reveal more info about this night. You see, after the incident, Tory would contact Kelsey via cell phone. The conversation was coded. Lanez never said that he shot Megan, but he did apologize for being too drunk. The conversation was short and brisk.
Is that Peter?
Yo, bro.
Sir?
Regardless, I know she probably never ever gonna
want to talk to me ever again. But, bruh, I just want you to know, bruh. Nigga, I was just so fucking drunk, nigga. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on, bro. That ass. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on, bro. Like, that ass, nigga. I'd never do some shit like that, bro. Just that, nigga, I was so fucking drunk, nigga. I just didn't even understand what the fuck was going on, bro. Like, so, whatever.
Yeah. Tory asked about what hospital Megan is in. They both admit that they were too drunk to know what was really going on. Heck, Lanez even predicts that the backlash will fall on him once the news comes on. He didn't need to be a psychic to know that. This one piece of audio opens the door to so many questions. Did Tory directly shoot her? And how drunk was the entire group? This call was released to the internet a week after Tory was sentenced. Safe to say that it was much harder to defend Tory. He was being vague and it didn't look good. Though later his bodyguard were admit to seeing Tory's attempt to disarm Kelsey. Megan should not have been messing with her BF's BF. Tory shouldn't have been trying to juggle two women at once. Tory should have been nowhere near any sort of undocumented gun. The gun should have never been used by anybody. A judge has found Tory guilty of shooting Megan, so that's what I'm going with. Though a later confession from the bodyguard throws the whole damn thing in whack. Now, I'm still unsure about this case. The division in discourse happened because there were too many conflicting narratives going on. No one could really put a definitive story to it. The case would be just as messy as the shooting itself. People were coming in from everywhere just to testify. But that's for later. 3 years would have to pass before this case will be fully settled. The news came out and the hip-hop community was stunned. There were not enough words to describe what was going on. People heard Kylie's name and it was instantly worse. Tory had Kylie and Megan on quarantine radio before, but to hear she was at the party made everyone just pay a little bit more attention. Sides were drawn in the dirt soon afterwards. People heard Meg's glass statement and assumed she was lying about the shooting even happening. Certain people also instantly disavowed Tory Lanez. As a matter of fact, later on in the timeline, many rappers will pour out support in late 2023-2024.
He went crazy. Free my boy, man.
Free Tory in the fucking chat, bro. Free Tory. He's real as fuck.
From direct songs to slight jabs, the rap game is a pretty petty place overall. Drake and Meek Mill were just some of the rappers that weren't shy to express how they felt. The wound wasn't even healed yet, and Tory was spitting a hot 16 about the situation. Was Daystar such a loved album by its supporters? I chalk it up to situations bringing out the best of a musician's abilities, singing about Megan and what they shared, even going as far as criticizing Meg for her drinking when she responded about the situation. The album can be described as dreamy and dramatic, going over a romantic past long gone, muddled by gossip and headlines, and violence too. But that'll be for later though. Tory also makes sure to call out the industry figures who decide to stand beside Meg. On Money Over Fallouts, Tory argues about the narrative of the shooting itself. Gotta see a couple questions. How the fuck you get shot in the foot? Don't hit no bones or no tendons. Interesting that Tory will straight up doubt Meg even getting shot, as opposed to apologizing for being reckless. It may also seem that the hospital call with Kelsey directly goes against the ghost shot narrative. Another lyric will add more speculation about Kylie Jenner's place in all of this, and if Tory's pursuit of Kylie created more wedges for their relationship. On Queen and Slim, Tory says, "Even though I got a crush on Kylie, I would have left with you if I knew you was dipping for the simple reason. You invited me, but I can't act like Shotty didn't excite me." This gives a deeper insight about what the car argument could have possibly been about in the first place. Tory even admits that he may have been too wild at the party. Daystar was the talk of the town for that week. The fact that it was released at the same time Megan would appear on the cover of Time magazine was another thing that was pointed out by Megan's fans, seeing it as an attempt to stir up more chaos and controversy. Others saw it as a defense of a man's name and character, just done in an entertaining way. Kalani didn't see it that way, and decided to remove Tory Lanez off her album. It wasn't good till it wasn't. A bold move to replace an artist who was on fire, but she stuck to her morals in this case. I think Tory was getting more and more frustrated that he was being picked apart. Once again, he represents the perceived betrayal of Megan. In his mind, how could she be willing to throw him under the bus? I thought you was solid too, but look how you doing me. Look at how you doing me. People trying to ruin me. With Meg being managed by Rock Nation, somebody who I must again say that they don't play, Tory must have felt the pressure from all sides. Megan wouldn't fire back with music, but rather with the post button, promoting her new Fashion Nova collaboration. A little jab was thrown. Nothing real can be threatened. Megan seemed to be in better spirits during this time. One can only speculate on what she was thinking. Megan's lawyer, Alex Spiro, would also chime in, claiming that Tory's people were stirring up a smear campaign. Hell, both of their teams accused the other of playing dirty. Call it what you want, but I think both sides were trying to gain the public's favor. Any good lawyer wants to present their client in the best light, though behind the scenes, possible settlement discussions were taking place. Tory Lanez was to be arraigned and made to answer for the big-ass list of things he was charged with, most of them concerning weapons, and how as a foreigner, he wasn't supposed to have those at all. Then he's in Cali, a state known for having restrictive gun laws. But his lawyer managed to delay his imminent imprisonment, with some caveats of course. Tory was ordered to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan, and he had to give up that small stockpile that he had collected up to this point. For now, Tory was free. Megan would speak again to the New York Times concerning her shooting. I was shot twice as I walked away from him. We were not in a relationship. Truthfully, I was shocked that I ended up in that place. Now the wording was quite smooth. Technically, she was correct. She wasn't in a romantic relationship with Tory, but they were way closer than she wanted to reveal. Now as a person, you have the right to not reveal your private business. But when it comes to a case like this, all allegiances and relationships must be stated at the door. Granting a full picture helps the jury make the right decision. Keep in mind, all of the Kelsey stuff came out after the fact. I'm sure if this was a known fact during the beginning of all this, people will have more doubts about the story. You see, Megan's sexual relationship doesn't excuse Tory's actions at all. But if you are being purposely dishonest in order to muddy the truth, then you have to be ready for the backlash. You made Tory seem like a stranger because you knew how the situation would be perceived. If it came out that you and him were screwing, it would paint a different story altogether. I think that's why Meg did it. She didn't want there to be any bad assumptions on her part in front of all those cameras. It would be better to just bury that part. Her dishonesty gave the Torites a little bit more reason to mistrust the whole situation. Just like how the phone call between Kelsey and Tory gave Megan's fans more reasons to distrust him. It's hard to be dishonest with social media because they will always remember what you said.
And lying on your dead mother.
And will gladly repost your own dishonesty to prove you wrong. Social media never forgets. I also think it's hilarious that in her own documentary, she confesses to it outright. I would have fired all them niggas from my documentary. You're supposed to make me look good.
This bitch all lied to Gail King, bitch. First of all, I didn't know that bitch was even gonna ask me about that shit. Bitch was always gonna talk about this shooting. Why'd you ask me about fucking Tory? That's not what this is about. Even if I was, I fucked this nigga like once, maybe twice on a drunk night. But you kept catching me out of my fucking mind. Yes.
Now class, I have a little question for you. After spending months paying lawyers and fighting cases, what would you be doing? A. Sitting your ass down because you barely missed jail time. Or B. Driving really fast. Everywhere. All the time. I think you know which option Tory ended up choosing. Allegedly, at the top of 2021, Tory would end up in a fender bender. But he wouldn't see legal action be taken against him till 2022. Accuser Krishna Grulon and Jesse Grulon accused Lanez of sideswiping their car with his 2017 Bentley Balenciaga. This all took place in Miami, by the way. He couldn't get into enough trouble in Cali, so he went to Miami to further push his luck. Oh geez, and the lady was apparently pregnant, which is not helped by the fact that he allegedly drove away after the incident. Though Tory isn't buying that story at all, he says that no accident happened on that date, and he asks for her medical records to prove it. This case hasn't moved further since then. Tory has denied any wrongdoing, of course. He's not going to raise his hand and say he did it. That would be stupid. But Tory was still free, and he would take advantage. Rolling Loud was happening, and DaBaby was performing. Both saw a chance and took it. DaBaby brought Tory on as a surprise performer, which raised the profile of the performance into a defiant message towards the industry. If you knew DaBaby, then you knew DaBaby didn't choose sides. He had worked with Megan before, but that wouldn't stop him from working with Tory, which in turn triggered Partisan Fontaine to speak against DaBaby. Party was Megan's boyfriend at the time and was her most ardent defender. DaBaby responded with what seemed like a peaceful appeal to Party's anger. Did DaBaby choose a side, or did he just choose to work with another artist? Allegedly, Tory and DaBaby attempted to rush the stage during Meg's performance. During the victim's performance, the defendant went through security clearance and entered the green room. Those areas were well within the 100 yards of the stage, where the victim was performing, in violation of the protection order. This is the event that I think landed Tory in more trouble, and it put 13 years on the table for him. This was the event that made Megan's lawyer's statement of waging a humiliation campaign much more concrete, because it showed that Tory was attempting to clown Megan. Tory's bail increased once this happened, and the judge was leaning towards Megan's plight, a bad position to be in when you are already seen as the aggressor. This was a downward spiral that would play a much bigger role in Tory's later pleas for freedom. Lane's lawyer went into court on November 3, 2021 to set up a preliminary hearing in December. 2021 would not end well for Tory. His pride and arrogance will land him in deeper water, as opposed to keeping his head down. He was more determined to make Megan look like a fool. It may have been a defense mechanism to the constant criticisms to his attitude, but it was not smart to give in to the narrative Meg was already painting about you. Her team painted you as a bully, and you did absolutely nothing to prove her wrong. Now he had to fight a preconceived image of himself, which he would do. December 14, 2021. In open court, LAPD detective Ryan Stogner would later take the stand and testify Lane's reportedly said, "Dance bitch dance," while he shot at her. He would continue, saying that the defendant would later apologize and beg her to not say anything about it. Tory will push back. "How about you tell me what I was apologizing for?" Soon his lawyer Sean Hollery will follow with his own questioning. "You have never asked Megan how much she had to drink, did you?" No side chose to comment to reporters after it was over. All words were being saved for the upcoming case. That's when the truth would come out. "2022 was wild. Remember Party? Well, him and Tory had a spat over a debunked rumor. The rumor of Tory's DNA not being found on the gun was prematurely reported. The truth was much more complicated than the post could explain. Now I will come back to the topic of the DNA found on the gun later. Though not technically not true, it wasn't false either, and the trial will show why. But I must say, I wish I heard more of these media outlets go more in depth with this topic, because it's really mind-blowing if you ponder over it. Trust me, it's probably the topic that will polarize your view the most. But nothing can stop the main trial sitting in front of all of this. The one that will determine the future of Tory and Meg. This trial didn't just mean a lot to their personal lives, but it would also define them both to the public. No one will leave this trial without taking large hits to their reputation. Tory's lawyers will come out swinging, offering a story that challenged the one known to most people. The theory that Kelsey Nicole Harris, Meg's best friend, was the one who ended up shooting Meg. The test results for gunshot residue showed positive for Tory and Kelsey. I wasn't lying when I was saying that Kelsey was a major piece of the puzzle. The defense now had a theory about her involvement. Gunshot residue is known to be a great indicator of who was the one who shot the gun, but due to it not being conclusive, the evidence can leave a lot to be desired. But we now knew who was the closest to the gun at the point of firing, Tory and Kelsey. Alexander Bott would then throw another curveball, that Kelsey herself would testify that she saw her close friends shoot Megan. Then images are then shown on screen. Text messages. The conversation is short and concise, but can tell a graphic story. An exchange between Kelsey and Megan's bodyguard. Help. Tory shot Meg. 911. There it was, a damning piece of evidence that left little to the imagination. The messages were sent 5 minutes after the shooting, strong and concise. Kelsey was going to be testifying on behalf of Meg, and her own text told a straightforward story. Tory's lawyer, George McDesson, would give clarity to what was said in the December 2021 court hearings, in terms of Tory asking Stogner to clarify what he was apologizing about. McDesson said that Tory was apologizing about messing with Megan while with Kelsey, that the whole fight was because Megan was jealous of Tory giving Kylie attention. These revelations would paint a darker picture of the night: jealousy, cheating, and violence. It's only a wonder why it all went wrong in the first place. Bott also said that Tory's lawyer had threatened him after cross-examination. Keep smirking and see what happened. Bott called the comment vastly inappropriate. This case is so intense that even the lawyers are looking for the smoke, especially McDesson, who may have called him something way worse earlier. Bott even took it a step further and asked for McDesson to be removed. Judge Hereford denied that request. Ryan Stogner returned and reiterated on what he had said before. Stogner also was in contact with Megan even after the shooting, and said she wasn't lying about her fear of other black people getting shot. The new question for Judge Harrison to ask would be if Tory was willing to testify. Probably unlikely, as we all know it's seen as a cowardly act in the hip-hop world, plus it may not be beneficial to his case. Meg's lawyer said he planned to ask about a music video for the song Cap, which depicted Horsefeet being alleged violent assaults that occurred with different rappers. Tory was seen as a violent little man by some of the industry. Travis, August, and even a Love and hip hop star have suffered from or experienced his anger directly. Allegedly.
You're not the only person that they say it sounds like. You're not the only one. Look, days before this, I tweeted, I said, yo, my nigga, you a legend for making your song. At the end of the day, nigga said I sound like something, my nigga. I said what I said. If you felt the way and you want to handle it the way you want to handle it, that's why we're here right now. So I'm saying, what do you want to do, bro? Do you want to do? Come on.
Man, I wish you would have got that. I did get it. You did? Damn.
Don't do it. You already shot Megan.
You knocked his ass out, Tory? You knocked him out? That shit. Tory say he just knocked August Alcina ass right out. One punch crunched him, Shorty. He say one punch crushed his ass. Look up. He just did that.
Meg would become the star witness for the prosecution team. Safe to say she was very emotional when speaking in front of the people. She would have to drop any guard and be completely honest with the court. Even if it didn't make her look the best, according to her, I can't even be happy. I can't hold conversations with people for a long time. I don't feel like I want to be on this earth. Her mental state had been warped from the constant barrage of criticism, the same factor that probably pushed Tory to constantly antagonize Meg. Having to defend yourself at every turn, it can be exhausting. She admitted that her and Tory had an intimate relationship, one that her best friend didn't know about at the time. Megan knew that Kelsey had a thing for Tory and didn't tell her about what they were doing. All of this would culminate into the argument that happened inside the SUV. Tory hinted about his fling with Meg, which caused tensions to boil. She said that she asked to leave the vehicle, and that after stepping out, Tory yelled, "Dance, bitch, dance," something that she told Detective Strogner after the fact. She could only look down as she saw blood leak from her heels, causing her to fall down. Her deep-seated mistrust of the police is why she lied before. She also lied about being intimate with Tory. These lies hid the much more stark truth, that she was deeply scared of her reputation being tarnished. She was ashamed that she had given her body to someone who in her mind shot her. Sad that the truth had to be said in court like this, but it's the only way to get true justice. She also claimed that Tory attempted to pay her and Kelsey for their silence, not wanting to violate his probation. Tory accrued a pretty big rap sheet while living here in the States. Car crashes and some more shit. It's not surprising that his lawyer is an angry guy too. After the many narratives being created, Kelsey will bring a clear truth to it all. She was set to testify tomorrow. Now, if you're thinking Kelsey's testimony will make things clearer, well, you got another thing coming. I can honestly say I ended up forgetting some of the case details due to her lack of memory. The type of witness that can piss off both sides of a court case. Honestly, Kelsey has always been seen as a bystander to the whole thing. She is both the betrayed best friend and the betrayed girlfriend. Both of them ended up lying about their relationship while they maintained a friendly hurl, all up until that night, of course. Now she was being given the opportunity to testify. So far, the media had not brought up Kelsey's point of view. I mean, they mentioned her like you would mention another person involved in the case. Her perspective wasn't acknowledged. She was Megan's ex-friend, but still spoke well of Meg. She may have even tried to protect Tory, even though he was cheating on her. I was protecting myself. This is what she said when she heard a recording of her describing that exact night. She would, in court, deny all of the stated events. Then, she was shown the infamous text exchange between her and Meg's bodyguard. She claimed Tory shot Megan. She didn't question her own reasoning for sending that message. Her tone tells the story of a frightened woman, unsure if she should stand by what she said before. Kelsey is broken, just like Meg. This trial is extremely hard for any of them to endure. Kelsey would deny seeing gunshots and pleaded the fifth when asked if Tory shot Meg. The trial was stressful to her. The only reason I think she even went up there was because she was granted immunity. One thing I can also note is that Kelsey did attempt to reclaim her place within the story. She forced spark on Megan's disloyalty. She painted the picture that I'm this bad person, bad friend, that I took hush money. There are many lies, but she wasn't done yet. She also threw salt into the theory of her even shooting Meg herself. Other than that, she denied most of the things that Meg's team had asked her. An entire day's worth of testimony was evaporated within seconds. I guess it's more complicated than her just playing dumb. She would confirm some events, like Tory called them hoes and bitches. Other events she claimed never even happened, like her not seeing Tory shoot Meg. Kelsey felt like things had changed between everyone once she caught COVID and went back to Houston. Kelsey had previously met Tory at that Rock Nation brunch, the same one I mentioned in the beginning. The same one where Tory gave that certain pose. Funny to hear that Kelsey had developed feelings for Tory later. To add on to the chaotic friendship, apparently Megan would be kicked out alongside Tory from Kylie's party. Kelsey didn't gather much info from it, only being told in passing, apparently a fight happened or something. She rushed out with Tory. After hearing all this, she had no idea that anything was going on. She either had complete faith in her friends or were just obvious to all the blaring signs. I mean, Tory and Meg stormed off together. Tory takes a pic where he appears to be diving peen first into Meg. I don't understand how Megan was even able to keep it a secret. Like Meg had to go back for that slipper. Kelsey would continue tomorrow. She still had a lot of empty spaces to fill in, though I'm sure more questions will be asked afterward, blowing up a lot of what was already established in the case. Kelsey would continue on like another day hadn't passed. She showed regret over the lost friendship with Megan, someone who she was very close with. Neither of the two have spoken to each other since the incident. She also claims that Megan accused her of taking hush money, which according to her caused a lot of online harassment. You honestly could infer that Tory was attempting to offer something, especially considering that phone call made after the fact. More will be shot on the possibility of a bribe. First, she was asked about the possibility of being offered $1 million. She claims to have no memory of such an event. Her earlier testimony would say the complete opposite. Funny that Tory's lawyer would be the one to ask if his client offered her $1 million. Kelsey is a true enigma. She seems to have no real allegiances to anyone, and is more than willing to go against a lot of the accepted narratives. Kelsey paints Megan's character as an irresponsible drunk, saying she was acting odd on that exact day. Meg's bodyguard was expected to show up in court to testify on what he saw that night. Considering he was apparently texted that Meg shot Tory by Kelsey, Justin Edison, another callback, is the fourth most important eyewitness to the case, and yet he was missing. His last Instagram post took place on December the 2nd. When asked by his family about his possible whereabouts, they gave their own theories about what was happening. Father, Harold Edison, said that the investigators from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office were searching for his son, and that investigators were abusing their power. That's really weird, and it speaks to the seriousness of the case themselves. The family felt like they were being pressured from all sides. Justin only came forward eventually because of what was happening with his family. Now you can interpret that statement however you like, but he was obviously fearing the spotlight being put on his name. He was the only missing perspective left, and the entire hip-hop world wanted the puzzle to be completed. But in his absence, he was sending a clear message that he had no intentions to testify, to add on to the madness. Justin didn't show up for trial, but we still found out some more information, a clear font on the bigger picture. Kelsey's post-event interview was unveiled to everyone, a calm recollection that Tory did indeed attack them both. Both sides provided a DNA analyst to testify similar findings. Tory's DNA wasn't found on the magazine, but was inconclusive on it being found on the weapon itself, meaning that neither could confirm or deny it belonged to Tory. The trial would continue on the weekdays. 2 days passed once more. Monday was here, and minor details would be provided. Wild to say, but Kelsey, yes, that same Kelsey, ended up releasing a diss track called Busting Back. Kelsey kinda goes in right here, saying that she was really from the streets. Heck, she even takes it a step further, mocking the Protect Black Women movement that was birthed from this case. The Protect Black Women hashtag was to pay reference to the fact that black women are some of the most unprotected citizens in America, being disenfranchised in both race and gender.
Yeah, who I'm taking shots at? Bitch, I'm busting you. I'm talking to that same bitch that crashed that boat on 42. It's a shame we're here today. Truth be told, it's cause of you. Couldn't control your little feelings. Look what dick is costing you. It was all good, yeah, about a week ago. Shout out Bobby's murder, but this bitch is really cheap. If I was the one with the gun, you would've heard about a murder. Said her back was turned, but that girl know who really hurt her.
I gave it a 4 out of 10 musically. It was a hard first diss track, but you can tell she was an amateur. Honestly, Kelsey is the only one I was really rooting for. She seems to be a funny, down-to-earth chick who plays into the chaos and some of the situations on the chin. Making a diss song about your ex-celebrity best friend is the energy we need nowadays. No fear, just bars. I mean, my nigga, she literally references Biggie. I'm sold. The next day will feature what I would call the ramblings of a guy who was kinda there. Like, he could hear and see some of the things, but nothing too concrete. To add to the confusion, homeowner and witness Sean Kelly had his own version of events. Kelly would testify that he saw a woman sitting where Kelsey was, get out, and start fighting. He also saw the smallest individual get out the car, and then he saw a muzzle flash. He would not paint a positive picture of Lanez, saying he was very angry and making a lot of noise. Kelly, after explaining some of the trauma he accrued from the situation, then gives his answer on who he saw shoot first. His answer was, "I believe I saw the girl shoot first." Then he will follow with, "I said that they were both shooting." Kelsey would then describe a free-for-all brawl, with Tory Lanez pushing and fighting both girls, and that he was just a torrent of abuse. Kelly originally thought Megan was gonna die. From his point of view, Megan was a victim to everyone out there, and Tory was a loud, short man. All things I would assume already just from following the tabloids. Everything was now on the table. Nothing more could be added, and the jury had to craft a decision. This is where it all leads to. It was hard to ask from anyone, to turn years of conflict, years of drama, and come up with the right answer. The evidence was shaky on both sides. Megan did lie about aspects of her relationship with Tory to the media, but was found with actual bullet fragments in her feet. She did not lie about being shot, or at the very least being shot at. Tory was, to say innocent would be disingenuous. Even beyond possibly shooting Meg in the foot, he still had other crimes that he was already being charged for anyway. My guy is allergic to the word probation and can't follow it for shit. But if he was living like a 5'1" Tony Montana is out of the question. The jury had to answer the most important question. Was Tory guilty of shooting Meg? A group of defending women had built a terrifying persona of Tory, a cowardly bully. The trial reopened what I could assume was group trauma, a trait I'm ashamed to admit is common in my community. But the other side feared being blamed for something the man didn't do. Common fear amongst black men. While both sides can type tweets, it was time to decide now. Tory was found to be guilty on all 3 charges. He was found to be guilty of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, to having a loaded, undocumented firearm, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. He was sentenced to 10 years in a California prison. Before this, Tory admits that his behavior was unacceptable. He asked for everyone who thought he was a callous person to reconsider the view. Everybody was drunk. I said some very immature things. If I could turn back the series of events, I would, but I can't. Fame is a hell of a drug. Tory probably felt like he was God. All the women, all the girls, but none of the humbleness. Would any of us have acted like him? No. There are a lot of men that are not like Tory. Tory made it his business to show everyone he was the man. Everything was aggressive. Well, you know what the system does to aggressive men like you. They mark you like cattle and tell you to go plow fields. So really, Lanez, was it worth it? To prove to random niggas that you're tough? Even if some people do plead your innocence, the legal court says otherwise. Meg, who was exhausted from the news cycle and the controversy, having her story be doubted, she was done with it all here. She had a career to continue, while Tory's incredible career had been put on pause. The Texas hottie would never be the same afterwards, while she will only grow in the hip-hop conscious. The trial had exposed her in ways she didn't want or even expect. The after effects of the trial are probably more apparent than ever. Drake would later feature on the song with Meek and support Tory. Tory would continue to press for his freedom, but all appeals were denied outright. What voice could be left? What other perspective could we have missed? On July 29, 2024, 2 years past the trial, the uncovered testimony of Tory's driver, Jaquan Smith, was unveiled. This testimony would be the only one that cited Harris specifically as the assailant, both verbally and physically. I broke up the fight and was pulling Miss P towards the back of the car. I saw Miss Harris with a gun in her hand. Mr. Peterson ran from behind Miss P and myself towards Miss Harris. Mr. Peterson and Miss Harris began struggling as Mr. Peterson tried to unarm Miss Harris. I was still pulling Miss P and did not see who shot the weapon. All this information came from the affidavit, uncovered like a hidden treasure sealed away from the viewing world for years. And then another bombshell was tossed into the fray. Smith would then say he was prevented from testifying. Many reasons were given for why this happened, from the state not being prepared to even interview him, to scheduling conflicts. We the people were deprived of the full picture. Lanez's defense plans to use this to possibly open the door for the trial decision to be reversed. The question I have to ask, as one of those people who took a deep look into this case, would there ever be a clear picture of that night?